Hello, and welcome back to Coin Lady channel. It has been some time since I last checked the federal government's resources. However, there is a private sector debt of around 95 trillion. Therefore, the term Fed balance sheet is completely foreign to me. Not much has occurred to me. However, to cut a long tale short, it's not what it used to be, and it's far from 95 trillion. If the private sector went bankrupt and the government took over, it would have to reset its $5 trillion balance sheet and then extend it to replace it, all in an effort to keep the overall amount of credit in the economy stable. We haven't arrived yet, so please bear with us. One of the most interesting questions, though, is why the dollar hasn't fallen in value yet. For the same reason that the Austrians wailed the moment the United States dumped the gold standard, they will do it again. Jared, the value of the dollar will plummet, but so yet, that has not happened. Our ancestors left us a huge financial legacy. For the simple reason that the United States sustained an equity finance economy all the way up to 1968, the majority of people in the globe, whether directly or indirectly, probably gave you a Series EE savings bond in the 1950s, or your granddaughter may have done so. Co-signing on your credit card is now something your grandparents are willing to do. Alright, so when we became adults, we went from being given assets to being given debt. Indeed, that is the case. Even more recently, it has entered the capital structure of every single person. But there's a huge loss of actual wealth as a result. But it's not overt. Plus, it's been ongoing for half a century, indeed, as 1969 was the year of birth, and 1968 was the year that the United States shifted its economic foundation from equity to debt financing. So, I've spent my whole life in a world where seed corn is king and American stocks are dwindling. And that is why individuals who said the dollar would collapse when the US stopped using gold as a basis of measurement in 1971 were completely incorrect. Reason being, we were able to tap into a substantial amount of equity cash. The United States will go bankrupt because we have been draining the funds by borrowing, and more borrowing. The impending debt tsunami will eventually force governments to declare bankruptcy, as James correctly predicted. Having said that, the financial system is so unpredictable that it might happen tomorrow, even if I don't think we're anywhere as close as the doubters claim. This means that a repeat of 2008 is possible, this time with a systemic defect that forces the Federal Reserve to print tens of trillions of dollars only to make up for the private sector's inability to provide credit. All of us, I think, can feel it approaching. Indeed, I do. My opinion is that it is certainly doable. The dollar's status as the reserve currency seems to satisfy many people around the globe. A lot of places are open to trying new things, in my opinion. And here's one of my wild-eyed hopes for a digital asset. I don't think it will materialize anytime soon, but it's still a possibility. So long as nations come to terms with the fact that the dollar won't remain the world's reserve currency indefinitely. When I first began selling software to financial institutions, many questioned why banks would buy my product when they could use in-house solutions. They failed to realize that out of the total number of banks in the globe, just approximately 10 are responsible for developing the infrastructure that would power the entire planet. These institutions include HSBC, JP Morgan Chase, Credit Suisse, and a Dutch bank. Because it is biased in favor of them, the system they created and run would be unpopular among the other 6,000 smaller banks, who are their toughest competitors and whom they loathe the most. What has helped the United States, quote-unquote, unfairly expand its economy by leaps and bounds for decades is that every nation would love for its currency to be the world's reserve currency. I think the same could happen to nations. And every other nation would agree, it would be nice to have a global reserve currency. However, in all candor, the majority of nations are aware that they will not be the ones to issue a new global reserve currency. Consequently, they might favor an uncontrollable currency over one that is controlled by their primary geopolitical rivals. In my opinion, the best-case scenario for digital money is for these countries to decide that the US dollar will not be their currency going forward since nobody wants to recreate it. Role to play: no one purchased the US or the EU to supplant the dollar, did they? The idea of the ruble replacing the dollar is unpopular in Russia. And no country wants the new one to supersede the dollar more than China. As a result, they may decide to work with someone other than their most formidable geopolitical enemy, an anonymous money supply. Based on my analysis, that seems like the most likely outcome if you're seeking a successful outcome. But the real issue with the money is getting everyone to agree. That is, if their geopolitical opponents impose an alternative to the dollar that isn't merely a change in leadership, then they could be willing to comply. I don't see it as a problem if a number of cryptocurrencies get richer as a result of the choice being no boss. Could you please provide me with an update on this? I went out to eat and paid with my Visa card. Now, I'm wondering if they can let me go without contacting the police because I didn't pay for my food. However, I still need to pay off my credit card. Someone needs to send money to the restaurant via wire transfer or another method, but so far, no luck. Settlement and payment have always operated independently of one another. SWIFT does not deal with settlement, it is only a payment method. Because you can't verify the receiver's legitimacy, or even if they have a receipt, it becomes very difficult to make a respectable payment. Another option is that you have no idea how much the costs will be or what the exchange rate will be when everything is paid for. A mechanism was so conceived. Furthermore, there is a historical rationale for the segregation of these payments into institutional and individual categories. These systems have their roots in the days of physically transporting huge wheels of magnetic tape from the day-to-night transfer between the settlement computer that communicates with other banks and the transaction computer at the bank. The tape had to be on the computer that processed the bank's transactions and then transferred to the settlement computer when it was finished, thus settling couldn't be done during the day. This is serious. This is serious. Everything seems great when you view your bank's flashy front-end application. Not to mention that it's mobile-friendly. It's the 21st century, after all. But if you go under the surface a little, it's like stepping into a time machine. Mid to late 70s is considered fortunate. That is when the systems that track the flow of funds were established. Now, they are crumbling, and even if blockchain technology were to completely collapse, there would still be no such system. Since the lawsuit had no impact on our capacity to commence discussions and projects with central banks, our ministry will remain largely unaffected even if all cryptocurrency prices plummet. I understand that, as expected, the United States is a major focus of ours. However, this is not how the rest of the globe perceives things. It has long been clear, in my opinion, that nations like Japan, Switzerland, and the UK hold the view that IRI does not equate to safety. With 5 nations already confirmed as partners, 2.5 mountains still to be revealed, and 20 or more other ongoing conversations, continuing on to the CBDC hasn't really been an obstacle. There are at least 20 more ongoing discussions, and we have already announced partnership with 5 nations. There are also a similar number of unannounced collaborations. The International Banking and Financial Communications Network SWIFT aspires to be the undisputed leader in the field of interbank payments. However, a new technology called Ripple emerged and started to undermine the blockchain-based infrastructure that allowed for knee-jerk, inexpensive, instantaneous cross-border payments that did not need intermediaries. It was an attractive option for financial institutions looking to modernize their payment systems since it increased security and transparency. With more and more banks switching to Ripples, it became the de facto standard for interbank payments, soon surpassing Speedy. There is no denying the irrefutable value of the Ripples platform. As Ripple's popularity grew, so did the use of its digital asset XRP in the company's on-demand liquidity product. This product allows financial institutions to use XRP as a bridge currency to enable faster and cheaper cross-border payments. Banks started using XRP and ETL as the cryptocurrency market boomed, boosting its cost. Financial institutions have started buying XRP in bulk to ensure they have enough money to pay. Not only that, but investors started buying XRP in large quantities, driving its price even higher. after realizing that Ripple's technology may shake up the banking system. The banking industry was clearly in for a radical transformation as Ripple gained traction. A faster, more efficient, and more secure alternative was gradually replacing older methods of cross-border payments. As a conclusion, XRP is now one of the most valuable cryptocurrencies due to the surge in its price caused by Ripple's success. With Ripple's innovation and XRP's adoption in its own offering, the financial world was fundamentally transformed. Please like and subscribe my channel. See you later, bye.